All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. You are currently watching the Referee Forum with FLSRC. This is going to be an interactive Q&A session. So we will have some instructions up on the screen in just a moment on how you can raise your hand and how you can ask questions to the panel. So first, we're going to go ahead and just introduce our panel today. So we have Abrom Douglas, Tim Fouts, Ken Miller, Jim Vars, Joel Dragan, and Jonathan Sproutley. That is me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Joel Dragan first, and he will talk about his new bylaw that we have coming out. And then after that, I'll bring Abrom Douglas in, and we'll start the Q&A.
Thanks, Jonathan. I just want to talk really briefly. I think everyone's heard enough of me either on the last webinar or on any of the various ones that you've heard recently. So I just want to touch really briefly on a proposed rule and bylaw change that's in your bylaw book, or will be in your book of reports. And it is also already posted on the FLSRC website. This is bylaw 404, and it's rule 404, apologies, on page 54 through 56. Rule 404 talks a lot about referee registration. It's really long. This bylaw proposal, or this proposed rule change, is really long, but I urge you guys to know that it's very simple in the reason that it's being recommended. And I would urge you guys to take a look at the rationale that's submitted by Mike Flood. The first thing it mentions is that this is a housekeeping issue, and really the whole point of this is that throughout the bylaws, in several different places, it's referenced that FLSA registers referees, and that is just factually incorrect. FLSA does the background check for referees, but as you're going to find out later tonight, or probably already know, referee registration is handled by the other gentleman on the call with me here, the FLSRC, as well as US Soccer. So it's a small thing. Well, it may seem small. However, you don't want a document out there pointing to registration of an entity that you don't, because FLSA, again, does not register these referees. If you have any questions, contact me, contact Mike Flood, who submitted it. It has been recommended for approval by the bylaws committee, again, just based on it not being accurate. So it touches a number of places and really needs to be cleaned up. So please contact me with anything on it. And without anything else, I'd like to just turn it over to most likely Abrom, who's I imagine has some opening remarks, and will take a lot of questions from everybody on here. I appreciate everybody being here. We got a big turnout for this one, so thank you guys.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is safe with them and their family during these times. I got a couple of things I want to say, because references some emails flying out there about referees that came from the referee committee, and they offer two options. Just want to explain it to you why we went to the option that we did. The first option was option one, where if we would have elected to go to option one, every referee that was registered for 2020 will automatically be registered for 2021. I thought that was a great idea. However, 3 days later, we had to get on a Zoom meeting with the other 54 SRAs throughout the country. At that time, US Soccer advised us that we could no longer charge an administrative fee or a background fee if we go option one. Now, if we'd have said, okay, we're going to stay with option one, I don't know how they would have been doing their background check unless FYSA kicked up $160,000. That's what FYSA would have had to pay, and I know that wasn't going to happen. So we had to go to option 2 because if we'd have stayed with option 1, we would have had no funds for 2021. Sorry, for 2022, we wouldn't have had no funds because all the funds we have now, we'd have totally spent for 2021 and we'd have been broke. And FYSA would have had to give us at least 75,000, with the adults giving us 75,000 just to get through the year of 2022, and we would have been scraping. So just to give you some numbers, what we did was we dropped the registration fees for the referees slightly, which with the admin funds that we're collecting this year, we have to give U.S. Soccer approximately $80,000 of that. Also, we have 3 adult tournaments we have to support, and that's not much of a concern there. But in the FYSA, we have 6 tournaments we have to support you guys on that will bring to a tune of $111,000, $111,300. Also, we will spend approximately $24,000 a year for our board meetings, which we are mandatory to have. So we have to do that. So we're dropping the fees this year, but we still are charging administrative fees. So the referees should be seeing the drop in fees, which will help us carry us with a minimum amount of money to do 2022. We should be okay. And then our funds should catch up sometime around 2023 or 2024. We're going to be depleted if we didn't take option 2. Now, if anybody has any questions on that one, please hold that to the end. Let's try to get through the Q&A, and then I could answer those questions at the end if they want to know about funds.
All right, so real quick, I'll go ahead and launch a poll. It should be coming up on your screen. Give everybody a couple minutes to vote on this, and to kind of help us understand the demographics here tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. So just give everybody about 3 minutes or so, or less. All right, we're at 94% voted, so I'm going to go ahead and close the polls. So I'll go ahead and share it. I'm not sure the presenters can see it, so I'll let you guys know. 42% here in the room are referee assigners, 29% are club admin, and 26% are referees here tonight. And so we'll go ahead and start the Q&A if you guys are good with that.
Yes.
So anybody has questions, you can raise your hands, put questions into the question box. All right, so first hand up, I see Gregory Quito. Gregory, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and the floor will be yours. Gregory, are you there? All right, we'll come back to Greg. I see Harry St. Germain here. Harry, you are self-muted. There you go.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good. What's the question you got, Harry?
My question is, what Douglas, when you say the registration fees has been reduced, you talk about the recertification.
Yes,
Okay, it's been reduced to. Is it for this year for 2021 or is just Oh, okay, okay. Oh,
this, who am I speaking with?
Harry Saint Germain.
Okay. Yes, last year certification referees for grassroots referee, which you are, was $85, and we dropped it to $70.
Awesome, awesome. And then and then 2020 from 2022 is gonna go back to normal, or is just
Yeah,
like a
going to
okay,
go back to normal.
okay. And the purpose of that is during the pandemic that you don't want to you try to help the referees out, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, that out of our funds, we're going to have to pay approximately $80,000 for registrations that's coming out of our budget, so we don't have to charge the referees for it. I'm hoping it gets up to 90 or even 95,000. That means we have more referees.
Okay, okay, awesome, awesome. But the background check is something separate.
Yes, if you want to talk about background check, Mr. Jonathan Spragley's on the air and he can answer that question for you.
Okay, okay.
Harry, your question about the background check? I apologize.
Yeah, yeah. Is that going to be reduced as well, or is it going to stay the same?
Jonathan, I can take that. Unfortunately, the background check fee cannot be reduced. There's simply nothing we can do about it. Once you, as an applicant, anyone, coach, manager, board member, hit submit, we incur the costs immediately for the processing of the background check. We have to pay our fees out of your submission. So unfortunately, the background check that expires at the end of this month, it will be the same cost going forward. There's no increase. However, it will still be $40. We've been working really since I've been here, just a short 6 or 7 months with Abrom and the rest of his guys on how we can make your dates line up better with ours. And there's some limitations technologically speaking, just not to dive too far into it. In GOT Soccer, where you submit your background check on what we can do and what the expiration date is. So we're committed to hopefully aligning your background check with your true recertification time. But as of right now, they are separate. So Abram and I have had a lot of these conversations, and we're working toward a solution. We're hoping that, excuse me, in GOT Sport, when we transition to that new platform, that we'll have that kind of flexibility.
Oh, okay. So basically, in the future, you would like to have both the registration and the background check, so that referees pay with that one fee instead of doing separate. Um, and speaking of background check, is it the system that does it like the middle of the year, or where it expired, or how come it doesn't do like at the beginning or at the end? Because that's how the when referees are recertified is from January 1st to December 31st. You see what I'm saying? It just makes it easier
Yeah.
instead of
That second component that you talked about is exactly what I was referencing. That we're working to get those dates lined up for the FLSRC. It's a technological issue right now, because coaches, they need to redo their background checks in August before the upcoming seasonal year. However, referees, their seasonal year doesn't start until August 1. That disconnect is really the problem. But we're working with our technology providers to get those dates for referees to line up.
okay, no problem.
All right. So Gregory, we're gonna try you again here. The floor is yours. Gregory, there? We're gonna
Yes,
we're gonna
I'm
move
here.
on to.
I'm here.
You there? Okay. There we go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes, Greg.
Okay. I got a question. I know I had a discussion with Abram, but this question is for you, Joe. Quick question. On the background check, is there any way that whenever a referee does a background check, it can be linked to FSR? Because I know last year we had a few problems where referees were downloading the wrong thing and things like that. And so is there any way that we can just link it up so they don't have to download the background check badge to FSR or anything like that, so it becomes a less of a headache on that part?
All that referees are required to do in GOT Soccer is submit their background check as of right now. We've done some tweaking behind the scenes on the process. The FLSRC, the gentlemen on this call, now have more access in GOT Soccer to make those changes that the linking aspect that you're talking about. However, we're talking about 3 different platforms here. Abram and his crew have the system that's in place, and I guess right now there's not a way to link them all. In order for us to do the background check, the only way for FYSA to do a background check is through GOT Soccer.
No, that part I understand is the only way. Is just because last year we had a few referees that quote quote were not certified because the background check part of it, where you know how you have to download, you have to upload the badge that the GOT Soccer provides and everything like that, saying that you gone through the background check, and then upload it to FLRC. The problem is some of the referees were either downloading the wrong thing or things like that, and it was just becoming an issue that some of them who technically were certified because they did all of the requirements, but because they were not able to download the.
Joel, let me answer that question for you so we can.
Yeah, a lot of that's the process that's been that's in place here.
Here's the problem. We do not have a URL and can't get a URL. We probably could, but we don't have the money to do that. That's going to cost a pretty penny to get a URL from GOT Soccer to OMS to automatically do it. We can't do it. The bottom line is the referees simply is not reading. It's a simple thing. When they go to download it, it says in there specifically Florida background check. Guys are starting to download themselves at the beach. Guys are putting their pictures on there. They're putting everything in there except what the slot says. And it says Florida background check. That's the only thing they had to put. All I had to do is read it. Matter of fact, this year we updated the video for that. Mr. Fouts did an excellent job on it. So hopefully that'll be a little easier for them to understand. And just to let you know, they could do all the modules they want. They could do the Safe Sports. That links with us automatically, except if they do it in GOT Soccer. But with that said, if they don't have the background check in our system, we cannot register them. It's just plain and simple. Okay?
Okay, I mean, I knew that Safe Spots, we linked up on the Safe Spots. We had that conversation. The main issue was the badge part.
The badge or the card?
The card.
They have to upload the card. It's simple. When you go do your re-registration this year, you're going to see how it's going to be explained to you just a little tad more with more pictures so people could understand it. Okay?
Yeah, I'll do both when Mr. Vaz puts up the assigner spot, so I can do all of them together.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, Gregory. I have Mike Amato up next. Mike, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
All righty. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
hey.
Just a couple things. First, we let off about the registration fee, and I'll be honest. You guys know I do a lot of tournaments and touch a lot of refs, and that's been the #1 question because there was stuff that was out there about how some states and organizations are waiving fees and so on, and so that was one of the things that the guys were hitting me with on it, and obviously I just deferred to. I have no idea about this. This is, even lowering it $10 is somewhat of a win that I think you should communicate and hype with our referee group to let them know that that our folks, our leadership is behind them, and this is what we can do right now because of some financial concerns. I think that would go a long way in at least giving them the feeling of that everybody understands where they're at. Does that make sense? I think the more we communicate that and stay ahead of it, the better off we are.
Well, I can answer that question. We would have loved to do that. However, not getting into names and all that kind of stuff, people took it upon themselves to pass out false information. And I got blown up with phone calls on y'all false information. Not saying you did it, but people out there advising referees that they don't have to pay this year because FLSRC is ripping them off. I mean, what can we do after the rumors are started? I'm attending all the area, the FYSA area meetings, informing them, AGMs, and informing them of what's going on between the two options. If we don't charge administrative fee, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be bankrupt if we don't charge administrative fee. So that's why we dropped the registration fee where we pay at US Soccer, which I said earlier, comes to a tune right now of about $80,000. I'm hoping it goes 85 or 90. But if we don't charge administrative fee and went to option 1, FYSA would have had to give up $160,000 to pay for background checks because US Soccer stated if we go option 1, we can't charge any fees. We can't charge any administrative fees. We can't charge for background checks. We can't charge for anything. I mean, what else?
No, I hear you, and it's all good. I guess my point here is in order to stop some of those rumors and people taking this, if they maybe got an email from you or one of the other leaders saying, guys, this is what we're doing, and you don't have to get into the details you did here, right? But letting them know this is the reason we went this way, it would take all those bullets out of their guns, or some of them, and it would give them a little bit feeling of at least they're listening, they're hearing, and they're responding. Because in the absence of hearing official stuff, everybody is gonna come to their own conclusion, right? And it's only gonna lead to more problems.
But the conclusions is, you attended the sign and research course last year, am I correct, the in-person one?
Yes, sir, right in front row. Mm-hmm.
Right in front row. What was the first thing I asked everybody to do, the signers?
Well, geez, I turned 63 yesterday, so I forgot. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't forget, and I'm 66. The first thing I ask everybody to do is please do not send out and start rumors. If you need to know something, contact your local assigner, contact the state director of assigner, and that should be straightened out. The rumor started with an assigner. I'm telling you, it's how it started. Okay? So at that point in time, we didn't even have all information yet. We didn't even know what we was doing yet. We still didn't have all the information from US Soccer to start our courses. And to add insult to injury, we also, if we would have dropped by doing the in-person, by doing the online courses, if we'd have went to inline person courses, that would have been another $35,000 at minimum. We've been hurting. So I hear what you're saying. I wrote myself a note. We will send something out to all the referees in the state, letting them know that we are dropping fees.
I think, Abram, that would be a big win for all of you and for all of us. It really would. I think it would go a long way to doing it. You know, maybe it's called politics, but right now they need some of that politics.
Okay, hey, I appreciate the suggestion. That will be going out soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Mike. So I'm going to read two questions from the question box here. Well, they're both to the tune of the same question. Is the FLSRC budget available to the public?
Yes, it is. What's happening is the treasurer is putting the budget together now. Since we had all this, we had to make some major changes. So once he gets the budget completed and finished, it'll be up on our website. Same place where all our notes is from our board meetings.
All right.
Who asked that
all right, so next,
Who asked that question?
that was Bill Fisher and Ray Chassero. Both had a very, very similar.
And Ray who?
Ray Chassero.
Oh, Chassero. Okay, thank you.
All right, so Tom Tianich, you are going to be up next.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Joel. And thank you, Abram, for hosting this meeting tonight. Abram, I wanted to address this question to you based on what I heard in Region A.
Okay.
If you let me finish, you're not going to like it, but if you let me finish, then you can answer maybe at the end. So here is what I heard. You were offered an option A and an option B. Option
Right.
A would cost you money so that you wouldn't have $130,000 to run 8 tournaments that you're required to run at the end of the season. So what I heard from that is that my 14-year-old kids over here are paying fees so that somehow 8 tournaments that have nothing to do with those kids and those kids could never participate in get paid for by those kids rather than organizations, including 3 of them, the adults, can host those tournaments. So that's the first thing I heard. Then you said, after we chose option B, then you said, and by the way, we didn't run those tournaments last year because of Corona. We got all this extra money left over, and now we're going to use it to buy 800 jersey kits. It kind of would make more sense to use the money left over from last year for the tournament this coming year, because these kids, some of them got 0 games. They got registered late, they got certified late, you know, things that happen, and they didn't get the spring season. They're probably not going to get the fall season. Who knows when is the next time these kids are going to be able to actually referee and get their money back. They paid for the 1 year, now they're going to pay for the 2nd year. I really think this could have been handled much differently. And if there is any way of going back, I plead you to reconsider and do the other thing. I don't think any of us would mind paying for our own background check. We already do. We are used to doing it. A lot of the referees are also coaches, so they already have a background check. I wouldn't even think that FISA would mind helping, or somebody else would mind helping. I, as a club, would have no problem paying for a lot of my kids are 14-year-olds, so they don't even need to do background checks. So to say we would lose all this money when we actually have money left over from last year, I just think it's disingenuous. I know it's a hard one to swallow because you will have some losses, but I don't think 14-year-old kids who didn't make any money last year and who we're trying to get, and we are bleeding referees, as you know, it's so hard to recruit them, and an entry cost for some of them is very, very high. I'm not saying it's your fault, but over the 10 so many years that I hosted clinics, when there were in-person clinics, none of my kids ever gotten a free jersey. If they got a free jersey, they got it from my club through FISA Bucks or something else, not through FSRC. And I'm not saying FSRC is doing anything wrong. I'm just hoping that there's a way to reconsider and go back to option A. Thank you. I'll take my answer offline.
Okay. If we go to option A, we cannot charge any administrative fees. And if we was not to do any of the free uniforms come for 2022, we will have no money, plain and simple. I asked the 2 presidents in our board meeting, can they spot me $75,000 each? Both of them said they can't, and they explained why they couldn't, because their budget was hurt this year for many different reasons. And FYC, from what I understand, it's hurting even more than we are, even though they have more money coming in, but they're hurting more than we are, or about the same with the money. Now, to answer some of your questions, you hit so much at one time, I can't remember half of them. But to answer your question, about the referee kits. We never did referee kits in the state of Florida until 2018, I believe it was the first year we did kits. 2018, and we did that to help recruit referees. Even though our job is not to recruit, we feel that we should be helping. So I went out, bum, borrowed, and steal money to get money to do referee kits. The first year we was only able to raise enough money to get 300 kits, which FYSA gave us that funds. Last year, FYSA gave us funds of 10,000. So that amount of kits dropped, and then we was able to add money to it from late fees that we charge referees for registering after January 1st, which took us up to 13 and some change, and then we added the rest to make it 15,000 so we could do 300 kits again. This year, when we noticed it before all those option 1s and option 2s came out from US Soccer, we changed the budget a little bit to do 800 kits and did not ask FYSA for any money because we knew that they were hurting for different reasons when they had to refund stuff for different tournaments and things of that nature. So we committed $40,000 to it to help recruit new referees. When referees say new starter kits or free kits, they come on and register like you won't believe. In 2018, when we first did it, we only had 300, and we wound up getting somewhere about 18, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I know it was over 1,800 referees for that year. I would have to go back and look to get the exact number. So we decided to do 40,000 for 80 kits, and we committed to that. And it is what it is. Budget is a budget. I understand that some referees didn't make money like they should. I understand. But are the clubs letting their players register for free? Your club may be, I don't know. But most of the clubs are not. I hope I answered most of your questions. If not, email them to me and I get them back to you in more in depth.
Do you still have an option going back to option A, or is it too late?
No, we're not going option. We cannot afford to go to option A unless your club can give me $80,000 and I go to option A.
Well, no, the people who are running the A tournaments at the end of the year that cost you $130,000 should be paying for their own referees.
Listen, we are committed to those tournaments by being the state association. We have to support the adults tournaments. We have to support the youth tournaments. We have to support the referees going to region president's cup. We have to support with the referees going to the Southern regionals. That's just the way the budget always been. We have to. We have to pay those things. We have to do that tournament. And I hear what you're saying, that you got referees that's in your age group and in your clubs that never goes to those tournaments and do. I don't know why. They could put in for the tournaments and get selected. We have to support the tournaments. We have to. It's part of our duties as a FLSRC.
So it's a standard procedure for the registration fees to pay for.
No, the registration fees pays for our budget. Just like your club charge registration fees for players that goes towards your budget. It's simple. I don't know how else to answer that question. And to say, are we going back to option A? No, we're not. We have to stay with B, because if we go to option A, option 1, we cannot charge any administrative fees, and we will have no money when we come to 2022. How else can I explain it? Okay, who's next?
All right, so we have one question just from the question box here, which was from Bill. Just wondering if there's an expected date for that budget that'd be put out.
I'm sorry, try that again.
Just one question from the follow-up of the budget being available to the public. Is there an expected date?
I have to get back whoever wants that. I could send that to that individual. Tell them to email me. I have to get with our treasurer.
Will do. Okay. So next I have Lee Levenberg. Lee, you are up. The floor is yours.
Okay, I have a question for you, Jonathan and Joel, and that is if most of the fees that referees are paying for their annual dues is going to pay for referees to attend 6 of your tournaments, I would think, and I'm an assigner, a referee, and a club president, I would think it's more appropriate for FYSA to raise the fees for those tournaments to cover those expenses so that the State Referee Association can charge the thousands or, of referees who are not going to those tournaments less money to register. I mean,
Joe, let me answer that one, Joe. Lee, how you doing? Doug.
Good.
Okay. Here's maybe you misunderstood. With the tournaments that we're talking about, those are fees that we have to send assessors to, all those tournaments. We have to send assessors to those tournaments, and that's the fees we're paying when we send assessors to the tournaments. The referees that come to the tournament is obviously paid to and by the adults and the youth. Okay?
So so those hundreds of thousands of dollars in your budget for these 8 tournaments is
9.
to cover assessor fees.
Right? And
Assessor,
Hold
travel and fees.
yes, not all 9 of them. The adult regional tournament, we pay for referees. And for the President Cup and Southern Regionals, which in hand, FYSA and the adults do split the cost of that tournament. Those tournaments run us about the adult regional runs about 10 grand, depending on where it's at. Could be more, could be a little less, depending on flights. And that's the same thing with the President's Youth, with the Region President's Cup and the Region Southern Regionals tournament. They do split the cost with us, but we have to have the money up front. We pay it and then we get the cost back. Okay, so when you talk about the 4 tournaments in the state for the youth and the 2 tournaments in the state for the seniors and the youth pay the referees for their tournament. Am I correct, Joel?
Absolutely. That was exactly what I was going to mention.
Okay. Okay, Lee, I hope I answered that for you.
Well, but as I understood it, the biggest item in your budget is paying for those tournaments.
Yes, and then we also have.
And all I'm saying is, I think the organizations, which is FYSA and the FSA, whatever the adult is, they should just charge more fees for their tournament and give you the money. I mean, that would be fair in my mind.
Well, if FYSA, and I'm not saying they should, if FYSA and FSSA did do that, then yeah, we could probably definitely lower our fees, but I don't know how that would work, and that's something you would have to talk to those 2 sections, the FSSA and FYSA on that one. I can't answer that question.
Remember, with the exception of, I believe, just the semifinals and finals, the referee fees are paid at the fields by the teams to the referees. We don't factor the cost of the referee fees into the State Cup or President's Cup fee. And what Abram was talking about previously about travel costs, we do split that cost with them. That's the cost to send referees to what the next step is. I think, and Abram, stop me if I'm wrong here, when you're talking about those 6 tournaments, it's not just the assessors, but also the travel afterward to the regional component that starts here in Florida, but then moves on to wherever Southern regionals might be or President's Cup regionals might be.
That is correct.
All
Okay,
right.
Lee?
No.
Are you all right with
I still think FYSA should give you money to cover your expenses, because your expenses is what's driving the cost for all these teenage referees to be so high. That's all.
Okay. If you could work that with Joel, I would thank you and him personally.
And I will.
But the referees are paid by you guys at the club, right? You pay the referees at the fields. And then we in turn turn around and pay half the registration or half the fees for these referees to go out of town. The FLSRC is only picking up half of it. I think a lot of the other cost is for the assigners and assessors.
It's a lot more fees to it. People don't understand, when we do those field training events, we don't charge the clubs. We did them for free. And the only league that I could talk about that actually helped us out was South Florida United. They gave us a check in 2016. I think it's all gone. I would just have to check the books, but they gave us monies to use for referee training. And we use that money for training, where the referees come to the training for free, and we paid the instructors to attend that particular training out of that funds that we had got from South Florida United, which I think you're a member of, aren't you, Lee?
Yes.
Okay. So they helped out, and they also gave us permission to use the money around the state, which to send trainers to do training at other areas where the clubs are not part of South Florida United. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, well, I gave you my opinion, and maybe I can pursue it with FYSA in August. We'll see.
Yeah, Lee, if
All
you
right,
want to contact me separately on that, I can't say it enough. The FYSA doesn't, our registration fee for those tournaments, nothing is factored in on referees. They're paid directly by the teams at the field, cash.
No, I know that part, right? I get it. But
all right.
Abram's organization has to send people to your tournaments, and that's where the referee registration fees is going.
It's part of our budget, yes. So we have money to pay for the assessors and instructors to go. Because if I ask them to go for free, they ain't gonna go. I'll tell you that.
They don't get paid to go to Southern regionals.
No.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's travel and room and board and all that.
Yes. And
Of
meals.
which FYSA is paying half of.
Right.
All right, so we're going to move on. I got a few questions here in the question box we're going to go through. The first question is from Nikki Barfield. The question is there a mentoring program for young refs? It could help with retention efforts. I remember it was discussed a couple of years ago, but I have not heard anything for my team sons.
Ken?
What was that question again?
So the question was, is there a mentoring program for young refs? It could help with retention efforts. I remember it was discussed a couple of years ago, but I have not heard anything from my team sons.
The organization has never really had a place where the referees could get training until we came up with the field training events. Most of the stuff that I did, and I've been involved with years of this, and so is Tim Fouts, as an assigner and an instructor and an assessor, I would go and spend my time at the fields with the people that I assigned. And I took it upon myself to do mentor coaching way back because I had a good mentor coach. His name was Gunther Charles, and he believed in it. So I went to the fields and I spent my time in a lot of different clubs, and quite a few of the ARAs are built the same way I was. I know Tim Fouts did the same thing. We would go to the clubs on a Saturday and we'd watch referees and we would talk to them. A lot of times some of us would get in a group conversation with them, with the referees asking questions and ask the referees where it is in the law book. That was the basis of what it was. To say that we went out there and actually did it, I don't know. Did we ever have any that you know of, Tim?
No, most instructors and assessors went out on their own. There was not a structure in place to do that. A lot of clubs have their referee trainer, and they're out there all the time working with the young referees. And I know over in Jacksonville area and Clay County, I know that they have one that goes out there every Saturday. They pay him to go out there, walk around, scout, and that's the way we get names to bring in for advancement. But as far as a structure on the state level, maybe you're referring to the referee academy that we had 7-8 years ago. That the problem with that was we had so much resistance from the clubs because they were afraid that we were taking their referees away from them, and they wouldn't let them graduate and grow. And because of the resistance, we said, well, it's not worth it. The referees suffered because they couldn't be shown a pathway of where the next step was, because you just don't stay in elementary school. You have to graduate to junior high school. You have to graduate to high school. You have to move on to college. You don't stay where you're at as you grow older. So that's the thing about moving referees up to the next step. You groom them down in the youth level when they're young and show them the pathway of where the next step is. But normally that's done on the local club level, and it's always been done that way.
Now, I do know for a fact in 2019, the Federation made the FTE mandatory for all brand new referees in 2019 registration. We started it and tried to do it back in 17 or 18, where we did FTEs. We had to beg, borrow, and hit clubs. And we had a lot of clubs out there. When we approached them and asked them, could you set aside on a weekend for us to use your fields and do a field training event, out of all the clubs we would ask for help for that thing, we would only get 10% of the people that was giving us club spaces on their fields to do the training. So we tried, and we just couldn't get the assistance from the clubs. Now, if the clubs, well, after all this stuff calms down a little bit with the state, in January, we're going to start looking for those clubs again to see who wants to host a FTE to do training for referees, to do more training, to get the referees trained. Last year, we instituted a training thing for female referees. It was a great success. We also, put them to travel, but they had to be over 18 to travel. But then what we did, we targeted the young referees by doing what we call day camps. And we went to the 4 areas, and it was very successful. A lot of people like it. So we trying to, but we need the help from the clubs. We need to use fields. And if I call a club or one of our administrators call a club to ask, can we use their fields? You got to help us. We get more no's than we get yeses. I hope I answered your question, and I hope that that person that asked the question get my email address, and so we could make some arrangements to use her fields for some training. And it's free to the club, and it's free to the referees to come out.
Let me mention one other thing, that there are a number of tournaments around the state that actually pay referee mentors, referee assessors to come out and just walk around and report on referees that we see. And a number of us go there all the time. The private tournaments, they pay us to come and watch and be eyes and ears on the field. And also, it also helps the referees, because some of the referees are looking to go places. They want to advance, and they can't advance because they have to be seen somewhere. And all that costs money. It's all part of the training. And so, for instance, I know Disney pays quite a bit of money, not only in referee fees, but they also pay quite a bit of money in referee mentors to be out walking around, helping the tournament staff. If there's any problems on the fields, the eyes and ears, and they want to have a great atmosphere so that their teams will want to come back again. And it's a good way for referees to be seen as well.
All right, so guys, we have about 10 questions here and less than 10 minutes left on the clock. So get through some of these next questions. I have one from Jason Frawley. He says, could you share what FLSRC is doing for all new referees, how it's completely online, 800 free kits, and could we offer more online educational courses, live and interactive, throughout the season instead of just the recertification period?
Yes, all they have to do is go onto our webpage. In the library, Mr. Fouts puts all kinds of training videos up there. They're free to go to. They don't have to pay. They could just go up and look at the training.
All right. So there we go. Jason, I will, we can send the email address over to you if you have any additional questions on that. So I have a few here from Dara. Dara Cohen, the first question is, Abrom, why does FLSRC not use the USSF referee portal, which the majority of all states use?
Because the Learning Center is not working at 100% for referees. Florida is not the only state that's having problems with it. It's all 55 states are having problems with the Learning Center, and they're working it out. As of right now, we can't even upload referees that completed the training already, which is about, I'll say about 20 of them. I have to go back and check the exact number, changes every day. We can't open them up yet because the Learning Center can't accept us yet to do the uploads. So what we're going to do is we're going to register those people in the state of Florida, send them their badges, and put them in GOTSACA as state certified, and register them with the Federation when we can. So that's why we don't use the Learning Center yet. That's why US Soccer hasn't made it mandatory yet, because it's not operating at 100%.
Right now we have 50 ready to go, all completed since last week.
Yeah, I can't even register. Hope I answered this question.
All right, so next question will be from Bill Fisher. It is, what is the role of U.S. Club Soccer, and do they support FLSRC?
U.S. Club? I know U.S. Club is a part of the Federation. That's a touchy subject that I'm not too qualified to get into when it's a certain parts of U.S. Club. But as far as U.S. Club assisting us in recruiting and helping with referees, I have never got any support from any U.S. Club team. I've asked and got nothing.
Okay, so all right, so next question will be, I took the new assigner course, and I wanted to know if those fees were lowered as well, or if that fee is what I should expect to pay to recertify yearly.
Right. The entry. You mean the entry assigners course? Which one did he sign up for?
He says the new assigner course. Yeah, he said yes, it is the entry.
The entry? Yes, it went down because last year he'd have paid 1 1/4. This year he paid what, 100?
Will that fee go back up, or will that be the new fee?
No, he don't pay that again. Once he completes the course and gets certified, he would only pay $65 for his registrations from then on, and we dropped that. But next year it's going to go back to the regular fee.
All right, I got one from Mickey Briscoe here. What advice would you give to clubs to help and try to get more referees?
Well,
advertise free referee kits.
That we do the free referee kits.
Yep.
Also, when you do your registration, mention it to the young players that's registered. Would you like to become a referee? Even if you're doing your massive registration at one location, I don't know how different clubs do them, but I only can speak of one club that I know about. When they do their registration, they have a registration day where everybody comes and register. If they would like for one of us to come and sit at one of those tables and try to take names and explain to all the club has to do is contact us, and I will make sure that an administrator anywhere in the state would be at that registration to include myself. I would show up one if it's one like real close to my area, because I live in South Sea now, so I can cover that area a lot quicker. All we need is the request. Just like I've been saying for the last 2-3 years, hey, if you needed a representative to come to your club meetings, just notify us. We'll have an administrator at those meetings. I have not got one request except from South Florida United. Hope that answered that question.
All right, so next question, what is the average time it takes referees to get recertified?
It depends on the referee.
It's how to elaborate this.
It's how he goes through the modules. If he takes a module a day and it's a new referee, it's 33 modules, that means it's going to take him 33 days to complete the course. After he completes the course and it gets sent up to the federation, it would take him about 32 days if he do a course a day, and 3 days for his patch to get to him through US mail.
Again, repeat, that's doing one module a day where they can sit down and do more than.
Right. So next question would be, prior to COVID, what was the reason in the delay in responses to clubs who are trying to hold referee courses or workshops at their fields?
Right. Prior to COVID, we was getting some clubs. We needed more. As of, I'm not 100% sure on the date, but I think it was February 12th. Maybe Joe might know, but the February 12th is when U.S. Soccer shut us down. Was it the 12th of February?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, around the 12th of February, we had approximately 4 courses left that were still open, 4 or 5. And at that time, once they shut it down, we waived the field training event for everybody that was in that course, and everybody else that missed the original courses they signed up for, we waived it with the permission of U.S. Soccer. So all those people that had that courses before, all they had to do was complete the online lessons from U.S. Soccer and the requirements for the state, and they got registered.
All right. A comment from Neil Francis says you could have each club put a become a referee link on their website. Maybe more details for that, and in order to incentivize new referees to joining.
If clubs would would put our link on their website, we would love it. All they have to do is request it, and we'll send them the link, and they can put it on their website, and we would really appreciate that.
All right, so your last two questions here. So one from Gregory Tito, he's asking if you could just state the fees are, what the fees are for the recertifications.
Okay. Grassroots. Who wants this? What group he wants? Grassroots.
Why don't you go through all of them?
Okay. Entries 110. Grassroots 70. Regions 80. Mentor assigners is 70. Ref coaches is 80. Same thing with the assessor, mentor, 70, ref coach, 80, signers, 65. That's all the fees for referees and assigners and instructors and assessors.
All right, so that'll be all of our questions for today. Thank everybody for joining us. I will go ahead and send a message in the chat that has Abrom's email address on there. So if anybody would like to address him with anything after this, they can do so.
Hey, Jonathan, you want to give them my email and my phone number?
Sure.
Okay, let me give you my phone number to give to them. Hold on a second. Okay, you ready for my phone number?
Yeah.
305-697-8844. If they want to send me an email, I'll take it. If they want to call, that's fine too. If they got a question about assigners, I will forward it to Mr. Vars, training, Mr. Fouts, and assessments, Mr. Miller. Or if they want to do a mentor program in their course, they send me the information. I'll send it to Mr. Miller, and he'll contact you, and he will make the arrangements through y'all. Okay?
All right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Hey, Abram, it's Tom again. I have another question.
Yes. Who's this?
Tom.
Okay.
Actually, I want to say two things. Number one, you can always have the fields in Hollywood. They're beautiful and green and centrally located, and you can host your training clinics here.
Okay, I'm writing that down now. Hold on. Hollywood, what's that? Hollywood Wildcat?
Wildcats FC, yes. And the second question, again, you're not going to like it. I'm sorry. As of your last tax filings with IRS for 2018, there is $650,065 in a bank. Why do you think you're going to go broke next year?
I'm sorry?
As of your last tax filing with IRS, you have $650,065 in a bank. Why do you think you're going to go broke in 2022 if you take option A? As of your last tax filing with IRS on your 990 form, it shows $650,065 in your assets. In cash is $459,461 and another $200,000 in investments.
Right.
If you have $650,000 in the bank, why do you think you're going broke? If all the tournaments altogether cost $130,000, plus you have leftover money from the last year's tournaments that didn't happen.
I have that from what filing? 2018. What?
The last taxes you filed.
2018?
Yes.
I don't have that money in the bank now because we spent it. At 18, when we filed in 18, we had that money in the bank for sure. We spent all that money through 2019. We have 200,000 in the, well, we had 200,000 investment. We don't have that much now because of the way the market went.
Well, at the beginning of 2018, you had 628,000. So that year it went up 30,000. You're saying suddenly you went from 650 to 200,000 in 1 year?
Yes.
And there's no budget and there's no financials to show?
Yeah, we have financials. Like I said, soon as we get that thing from the treasurer, we're gonna post it online. And I'm going through my taxes now. We're doing my taxes now, and also we having our 219 audit, and that will be posted once the audit is up. Because
All
our
right.
last
Any estimated time of when this new filing will be available?
well, we just starting the audit. Matter of fact, I was on the phone with the lady today about our audit, and we're getting that done now. I can't tell you what. I hope it's done as soon as I can get it. I don't know what the estimate time is. I can't tell you what it is. I don't know.
All right. So you're claiming you went from 650 to 200,000 in this last year?
Yes. Well, our taxes will show everything.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little confused.
We got expenses. I just gave you the basic expenses. We have a bookie we pay $500 a month to. We got to pay for people using OMS. Every time someone registers an OMS, we pay a fee there. We pay.
Oh, I can see all your expenses listed there. I still see that last year with all those expenses you had when you filed your taxes, you still went up by 30,000. So if 1 year you go up by 30,000, I don't see how next year you go down by 400,000. I mean, it's possible, I guess. I guess we'll wait for the taxes to come up.
Yes. Yes. And
okay, thank you.
Our taxes and audit was given to John Stacy, and
oh, there's your problem.
No, that's not a problem. It was given to John Stacy at our meeting for our audit that we have. We do audit every 2 years. 2017, he got a copy of our 2018 taxes along with the seniors, and it's given to him at our board meeting. And as soon as this taxes are completed, which our tax guy, if you want to contact me, more than welcome. I don't know if he give you any information, anything, but it's Mr. Brooks, D. Brooks Associates, is doing our taxes. They're doing our taxes. He already told me he filed for an extension with us for this year, for 19, and they're also doing our audit this year. And when we do the taxes, our taxes usually, well, they should tell you how much in there our taxes was, and this also should tell you how much we paid for the audit. I think it was something like $20,000 for an audit.
I'm not concerned about the expenses. I'm just surprised that having that much money in the bank, you're concerned you're gonna go broke if you allow 14-year-olds to get their, free certification for you.
This is where I don't understand what you're trying to ask me. We will go broke if we don't have the money to put. If we're paying everything out, we ain't gonna have any money if we don't have any money coming in. That's the normal way it is. I mean, I don't know how to explain it to you.
I'm just telling you what your filings with IRS show. So if they show you have 650 and you're saying you don't, then of course you're gonna go broke. But if they show you have 650 in the bank and your tournaments cost you 130 and you said you didn't do tournaments last year, so you have money left over, then yes, you'll go low. You'll go from 650 to 250, but I think that's a sacrifice willing to, rather than making 14-year-olds making sacrifices, I think FLSRC can make a sacrifice.
No,
I think
all right, listen, we don't have to agree on this. I guess we'll wait for the taxes to come out.
You're asking me a question. Let me answer it. You said
Sure.
I paid $113 for tournaments?
130, I think you said at the Region AAGM for the 6 tournaments at the end of the year.
Right. That's the tournaments. We're not counting the $80,000 that I'm gonna pay there. With that comes out to $249,300. The referee kits add another $40,000 to that. That's $289,300. Then we got to add another 30 to that. I'm paying money out, and that's not even counting equipment we had to buy. We had to buy computers in that year. I think it was 2018. We bought computers and all that stuff. The computers are getting old. We got to get equipment. We got to pay a storage room for all the equipment we have. That's running us about $250 a month for the storage room, air conditioned so the stuff don't mildew.
Abram, you don't have to explain this. I mean, we'll just wait until the numbers come out, and then we'll just look at the paperwork, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Just let us know when you
All right.
post it. We all know. Thanks.
Oh, it'll be on our webpage. Just check it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. That will conclude it. I have sent everybody the phone number for Abram and his email address. Feel free to contact him with any additional questions, and thank you for joining us tonight.